All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Superspeedway Xfinity Series here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Qualifying has just begun for our 70-lap scheduled event here tonight. This is going to be race number 7 of 12, so somehow it is already down to the second to last regular season race before we enter that 4-race playoff. So it's getting crunch time for those points to see who's going to wind up in that magical spot to be in that top 8 to go for the final 4 races. So that's going to be very intriguing for these drivers, and it's going to start to get a little bit. People might start thinking about fuel mileage, points racing, things of that nature. So we're going to be very interesting to see kind of what the strategies unfold over the course of tonight and next week's race. And of course, the other thing to mention, as well as always, there are 2 fast pairs available for the drivers, 3 green-white checkered attempts. So, and of course, that means that 78 laps is kind of up for debate. May hit 78, may go beyond. You never know, and that could always open up the store for some points drama. Which, speaking of, we will pull that up as we speak. As right now you can see holding the last 2 spots in the points right now, it's a tie between Kevin Freese and Dean Wilkinson. Kevin making a big jump in the points after last week's win. And then right now, Randy Minor on the outside looking in by 7 points. And you can see right behind him, it's still really close as well with Tom Dixon there, Robert Rock, Zach Workman, Bob Fitzgerald. I mean, so you've got a bunch of drivers within a very, very small margin window to get up to that currently 160 points. Obviously, that's going to change over the course of the race. But I mean, you go down to looks like Les Levy there at 141, so 19 points basically between the tie for 7th all the way back to 14th. So yeah, it's really anybody's game. Again, bonus points going to come in crucial here tonight, so we'll see what that's going to unfold for us this evening. But right now, everybody's still putting down their qualifying laps as we speak. Hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. As I begin back to Sunday evening, so kind of back to reality here pretty quick. I have a feeling for most of us, as we've got, again, still about 2 minutes left here in qualifying. And again, for those that are watching Sporting, always appreciative of everybody's support and everything for the league, for the broadcast, and of course for those watching, feel free to chime in any questions, comments. So we're always here to try to kind of keep you all informed, and of course it's always fun to kind of go back and forth with the fans and the viewers. So definitely don't be shy, feel free to chat along with us, and we'll try to do our best to keep you all in the loop. So the other thing to mention on the point side of things is right now those points did not include a drop week. So right now it's showing basically everybody's 6 races if they've run all 6. And of course, at some point, probably I think after tonight, we'll probably show the best 6 of 7. And after next week, of course, will be the best 7 out of 8. And that'll be the points that we look into going into those final 4 races. And the drop weeks will be very critical because we've talked about before for drivers like, I mean, I look at Kevin Freese. He's tied for 7th right now, the last spot to get in. But the concern is for Kevin is he's missed a couple races, so he doesn't have his drop week right now is basically one of the 2 races he's missed. So if somebody might be behind him, for instance, like a Randy Minor, Tom Dixon, maybe they've had a bad race and they're going to be able to use that drop week and kind of then propel themselves above him, and that could definitely make or break. So I think Kevin can't feel comfortable where he's sitting. I think he's going to want to push a little harder, try to get a little higher up in the standings. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And right now, it looks like for the most part, we've had about 19 drivers put down a qualifying lap out of the 23 drivers that appear to be in the field this evening. So say right now, a lot of drivers opting to put a lap down here, going to try to see if they could get the best position they could get in qualifying. And of course, as always, like I said, appreciate everybody's joining in, supporting us, watching us here, and of course we're supporting the league as well with Area 51. Again, race broadcasted 3 nights a week, Sunday nights here at the Xfinity, Tuesday nights with the IndyCar IR18s, and then Thursday nights with the Superspeedway Truck Series. And of course also they do race on Mondays with the Lotus 79s. That's not broadcasted, just kind of a fun racing that they do over there, but also always a good time to have. So feel free to check them. You can find info on Area 51 on the Facebook page. Just search for Area 51, you'll come across it. but it looks like qualifying has just completed. So let's go ahead and pull up our starting grid, find where your favorite drivers are going to start tonight's event. And it looks like on pole position is going to be the number 55 of Dean Wilkinson. Going to take the pole here tonight by 0.04 of a second. It's a great lap by Dean, knocking down some of the big hitters tonight. You got Jimmy Crowe Jr. there next to him in row number 1. Then you got Gary Jenkins, Gabe Butler, row 2. Kevin Freese, Eric Laurie, row 3. Then Robert Rock, Robert DuPont in a all-Robert row number 4. Tom Dixon, Cody Nagels, row 5. And then Jay Hilliard and Bud Steele rounding out row number 6 there for 11th and 12th. Continuing on down 13th, you got J.D. Crowe, Zach Workman, and Vicente Guerrero and David Bone there in 15th, 16th. Seth Gruber, Robert Jordan, David Overstreet and Paul Turner are top 20, road number 10. And then the last 3 drivers opting not to put qualifying laps on, as you can see, though, will be Bob Fitzgerald, Randy Minor, and Guy Bracco in the number 69 machine. So I think the big story tonight, though, is actually, to me, is going to be Dean Wilkinson knocking some of the big hitters off the pole. Say Dean just been perpetually just getting better and better, and saying that's a dangerous thing because Dean has always been a very good plate racer. So if he's stepping up his qualifying game here, Matt, that's going to be all the more concerning for his competition. However, we are at Talladega, so a lot wider track, got that extra 8 feet we've talked about between Daytona and Talladega, so it's going to have a little more wiggle room. We're going to probably see that third lane more frequently used here tonight. And, of course, also 0.16 miles longer, 2.66 mile trial compared to 2.5 for Daytona. And it looks like we've got all but one driver. It looks like may have not gridded here tonight. It looks like Robert Jordan actually still on pit road, or maybe not gridded yet this evening. So, unfortunately, that's going to leave us 22 drivers here on the grid. As here goes the front row. Everybody's going to start rolling off to get this warm-up lap underway for tonight's race.
Actually, there was another surprise up there. Gary Jenkins up in the 3rd spot. I usually don't see him up there. Probably up top 10, but 2nd row, good qualifying effort for there, Gary.
Yeah, and I'd say I've talked to some of the drivers before. I think Gary, one of the Bootknocker kind of recent additions with them, and I want to say it's Gabe Butler who's mentioned about him before and said like basically Gary's one to watch and he's going to just kind of keep improving them. But you can see again right off the bat some of the drivers, the strategies unfolding from the get-go. Kevin Freese again going to save some fuel, roll the apron, go a little shorter distance, save a little extra fuel because again you never know how much fuel you're going to need in these things. So I'll say Kevin wasting no time to work that fuel number right off the bat. So good to see you over here, Bradley. And like I said, qualifying fastest cat in town is Dean Wilkinson indeed. So great job by him. And like I said, we're going to have to keep an eye and try to find the teammates, see who's with one another tonight to kind of get a better look to see who's working where. Looking at TW Motorsports, looks to be Jay Hilliard and Randy Minor. We got DuPont Motorsports with David Overstreet, Jimmy Crowe, and Robert DuPont. Limitless has a pretty solid group tonight. Looks like Cody Nagel, Seth Gruber, Vicente Guerrero, and Zach Workman. You got 4 in the Bootknocker group with Eric Laurie, Gabe Butler, Gary Jenkins, and J.D. Crowe. Bad Company with Bud Steele, Dean Wilkinson, Robert Jordan, and Robert Rock. And then Team Extreme with David Bone and Tom Dixon working this evening. It looks like Guy Bracco, unfortunately, on his own so far tonight in his Discord. So that's kind of, again, I'm just trying to spy on a couple guys. Looks like Paul Turner also kind of working solo here tonight. So that being said, Matt, we've always known, even if they're not in the same Discord, if they get the opportunity, they'll drive with the drivers they're familiar with, what they're comfortable with. So don't worry. Don't make too much about that. Don't worry too much about that one. So it's about time to get going.
Mm-hmm. You remember last week our predictions were quite good. I have my eyes to watch it. He hasn't raced here in a while, but my eyes is going to be on that 0-2 of Seth Gruber when it comes down to the pay window. That and my other pick is probably Kevin Freese.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Kevin Freese as we get underway here. Dean Wilkinson leading the field to the green as we're underway here tonight. 78 laps again, our scheduled race distance. As they head that drag race into turn number 1, it's going to be kind of that push and shove to get the field up to speed here. You see again Gary Jenkins giving great pushes to Dean Wilkinson. He's got a nose ahead. He's got the slightly shorter distance. And watch for that 16 and the 1 to hook up here, because even though they might not be in the same Discord, Jimmy Crowe Jr., Gabe Butler, a very, very stout duo in that group. And also you see Eric Laurie also in the mix in that 071. So a couple great pushers in this lead pack here, as Jimmy just had a nose ahead entering turn number 3, but now again the shorter distance is going to start to push that inside line just that little bit extra. So now it's going to be that drag race out of turn number 4 through the tri-oval, and we'll see who leads lap number 1.
Looks like it's going to be our pole sitter.
Yeah, it's like comfortably Dean Wilkinson. As you see, here's Robert Jordan just rolling out onto the track. Unfortunately, looks like going to put him 2 laps down, if I'm not mistaken. And unfortunately, also going to lose the draft right off the bat here, Matt. So unfortunately for Robert, that's going to put him at risk of possibly dropping to 3 down as he has no help. We're glad to see him in the race. Glad he was able to make it, just a little delayed, unfortunately. So we'll keep an eye on him. But right now, pretty steady up front. Everybody's kind of settled in 2 by 2. Got a little bit of a gap after about JD Crowell. I was about to say a gap there, but now they're starting to kind of jump around and move a little bit here. But you do see a few drivers just opting to kind of back it down a little bit, back their pace down. I think just play it safe to get things underway a little bit. Starting around Paul Turner in that number 4 machine. So let's say we're kind of getting the tail of 2 strategies here. Do you want to be up front push? Do you want to back it down and just kind of take it easy? As I believe Jimmy Crow leads that next lap there in that number 16 machine. As here comes JD Crow working the 3rd lane here. Looks like he's got Bud Steele joining the party there in that number 6 here. Let's hop on the roof of Bud Steele as we watch him try to work that 3rd lane.
I'm going to say it was really awfully tight as they were coming up with turn number 2 there. They're going to have to need more cars up there, but we'll see.
Right now, it doesn't look like they're going to need it. Although, as I said, you see the 16, he's able to get in front of the 55 there of Dean Wilkinson. That's going to let Gabe now lead that 2nd lane. And then, yeah, there's the 5 of JD Crow trying to work the 3rd lane. But, yeah, you can see a little bit of motion from side to side by that 3rd lane there. You see also in the background for a moment, it looked like that 02 that you talked about, Seth Gruber was thinking about trying to work that 3rd lane. He's going to jump right back out again, Matt. He's going to try to help that momentum shift there. But I'm also looking a little further up there in the middle lane. There's a 33. David Bone got lined up here with Tom Dixon. So watch those 2 try to line up here and work together as well. Try to keep that middle lane's momentum shifting forward. And there goes Jimmy Crow Jr. He's going to get the lap lead, then now drop to the back in that 16 car, probably right here behind that 14 of Vicente Guerrero. And indeed, that's where Jimmy's going to start to merge in here. It should safely hold the draft here. So Jimmy just want to try to get that lap lead, and then roll to the back. And while all that happened, here comes Gabe and Eric Laurie. So they get hooked up together now as Dean Wilkinson jumps back up to the top here. This is Gabe going to try to get his lap lead and will easily do so. So knock a bonus point down for that number 1 as well here.
I'm watching that 3rd lane. They're kind of not really organized, and they get really organized, and they really get really tight together. As a matter of fact, Gabe, he gets that lap lead, and he's going straight to the back.
Yeah, I think he's just not ready to make the big moves there. And he saw there as soon as the opening showed up there, Dean Wilkins said, "Don't mind if I do." He's going to jump right in front of Eric Laurie now. So I think that's probably going to hamper Eric's abilities here, as I think he probably wanted to try to get a lap lead as well in that 071, but isn't able to do so. He actually gets kind of blocked in now as the 07 of Robert DuPont, who's been a very, very perennial front runner in these last couple of races between the Xfinity and the truck. So he's been having a great season so far. He's going to nose ahead into the lead here for just a moment there, as he's getting great help from Tom Dixon and Kevin Freese joining the fray as well. So right now there's definitely a lot of movement going around for drivers pushing their way forward. Right now, none more so than that number 69 of Guy Bracco. He has worked up plus 16 as they run, as he's working that 2nd lane there. The 4th car line is there. You see the 07. He clears 55. He drops. Oh, no, the hesitation.
Oh, God. Yeah. Hold on to it, boys.
Oh, close call there. And you see Dean Wilkinson, he really had to roll out of it to try to do everything he could to prevent that issue. And he's going to get back out on track, but he's going to be at potential risk of losing the draft. But I think it looks like he's going to pick up that 16 of Jimmy Crow Jr., and we'll see if those 2 can work together here to try to push back to the front. But, yeah, everybody was able to react and kind of move around accordingly. But now these guys, Dean and Jimmy, are going to have to hustle to get back up to Bob Fitzgerald, who's kind of in the same boat. He's going to have to hustle to get back up to Gabe. So we'll keep it on the lap times, Matt. But right now, after all that's all settled in here, though, you see Robert DuPont kind of getting left, hung out to dry here, as Eric Laurie's going to blow by him in that John Deere machine with help from that 90 of Gary Jenkins. as they all make that big cut to the inside. A little too big of a cut. A couple of them hit the apron there.
Yeah,
but once again, looks like everybody's going to come through fairly unscathed there. But a couple drivers now with a little bit of lingering damage on the back ends of their car here. We'll look out the back, or look at the back, I should say, of that number 07 Robert DuPont. You can see the rear end crinkle on his. And then I also saw a little bit of damage. I believe it was to, I think it was the 411. So we'll peek from Bud Steele's point of view here. We'll take a look at that 411 machine. Oh, as I said, I contact with Bud Steele.
Bud Steele just got spun by the 68. That was a push gone wrong.
Oh, you see quick reactions there. Gabe Butler locking him down. Also the 68 there, David Overstreet had to lock his car down. And just as we hopped on board there, we could see the contact of the car start to loop around. And yeah, it looks like it's going to wind up not being as bad as it could have been, especially where it was in the pack. Yeah. But that is going to bring out our first yellow here. So let's go back. We'll take a look again. We're going to be focusing on Bud Steele here in that number 6 machine as they are entering turn number 1. So let's go back. We'll focus a little closer in on Bud. You can see, yeah, you're right there, Matt. Right behind him is that Country Time Lemonade machine there of David Overstreet. So we're going to watch as they enter turn number 1. And just, yeah, a little bit. Well, actually, it looked okay for a moment. And then right here.
Okay, I see exactly what happened, Gael. Looks like if you look right there, you see Bud Steele had to get out of throttle. If you look at the flames coming out of the exhaust, and the 68 just gets right into the back of the 6.
Yeah, pretty big shot as well for Vicente Guerrero, nose right into the side of that 6 machine. So Vicente is going to have some pretty decent nose damage. That's always the concern at the plate races. So we'll have to keep a close eye on the 14. And then watch Gabe Butler here in the 1 car. He just locks this car completely down. As is Dean Wilkinson. You can see he's even cutting that thing all the way left here as he's kind of just, not intentionally, but kind of following the path that Bud was. But looks like able to keep his car clean as well. So we'll jump back live here. Everybody's catching back up to the field. As we will most likely see a lot of drivers hit pit road here, Matt. And it's also a great break for Robert Jordan because he's actually showing just one lap down, Matt.
Yeah, he was one
so this will put Robert on the lead lap here, if I'm not mistaken. So Robert right back into it. And indeed, here comes the field on the pit road. So we might see some strategy, though. Maybe something rolls through the pits here, Matt, just to get that bonus point, lead a lap, and then come in the second time around. And the first driver I think that I might be watching to try to do that is going to be this 25 of Kevin Freeze. I don't believe Kevin's led a lap yet, so we'll keep an eye on him, see if anybody else just rolls right on through the pits. But it looks like Kevin's coming on in. It's JD Crow. Actually, JD's going to roll through, get his lap led, and then JD's going to come back in the second time around. So we got a couple of drivers that are doing that. Actually, Gabe did the same in the 1 car. He's just driving through, I think, to stay in the back. So yeah, a little bit of strategy here. So while everybody's pitting, getting their car serviced, we'll take a quick break here, and we'll come back on the 1 to go. So stay tuned. Plenty of racing to come here on Green White Checkered. All right, as you can see, the lights are off of the pace car, and there are 3 lonely drivers here. Yeah, that's right, Kitty Cat. 3 lonely drivers here who stayed out after the first time around pit road. Everybody else came in the second time to top off. So that leaves Gary Jenkins, Guy Bracco, and Cody Nagels as the 3 to stay out. And David Bone going to be the first one to hit pit road to top off on the one to go. And then look at the pit stop times also again mentioned. It looks, I believe if I'm not mistaken, I think Vicente went ahead and tried to get damage repairs done to that car. And I'm not 100% sure if it's fast repair or not, but looking pretty clean. And yeah, Brian, exactly right. Hopefully it doesn't become a fuel mileage race, because like I said, Kevin is the biggest fan of all of those fuel mileage races. So I haven't done the numbers yet, because we're going to restart this thing on lap number 1278 is again our scheduled distance. We have had a couple of fuel mileage races last couple of weeks, so we'll see if it comes into play again tonight. I'm already watching Robert Rock here rolling the inside here on that 171 machine, so kind of giving possibly some fuel mileage vibes on this one, Matt. We'll have to wait and see, but maybe this timing of the caution is right on the edge of maybe a 2-stopper to the end. It's going to be interesting. We'll have to kind of keep an eye and see, but we're going to have here, though, is, again, only have the the first row, actually, the only one double file. Everybody else single file. So I'd be curious to see what does Gary Jenkins do, because once that pace car is off the racing surface now, he could go as early or late as he chooses. And if he goes early, he could really kind of catch the field sleeping potentially. But it looks like he's going to play a little nicer here as they come into that restart zone. And there's waiting for that green, and we are down and back and away. As, man, Cody Nagels was quick on the throttle there, was ready to go. Almost a little bump there to get that 90 up and running here. Unfortunately, the 69 Guy Bracco, he's going to be a lonely driver on the outside line here, just waiting for someone to try to either help him or let him in.
Well, there is a couple of drivers that are coming up through the second lane, but I think they might split Guy because he's so down on speed. Yeah, that's what I thought might happen.
You gotta be careful, because that's there's a big momentum shift happening right now. But man, Seth Gruber took that momentum and wasted no time jumping around the 06 of Cody Nagels. He's gonna bring the 18 of Zach Workman with him, bring the 25 of Kevin Freeze with him, and that's a lot of moves there in a very short amount of time there. It just shows how well those two are lined up in that 02 and the 18 together. As easily going to lead this lap is Seth Gruber. Zach Workman going to take that second spot here, and they both could clear the 90 here. They have to be careful. We saw earlier there, Matt, a potential kind of a late indecision move there, kind of stacked the field up a little earlier, and this time they opt to stay towards the middle. And I think Gary Jenkins kind of didn't like what he saw. He says, all right, I'm going to roll to the back. Kevin Freeze, though, he says, this is my opportunity. I'm going to jump to the front here in that 25 machine. I'm going to lead David Bone on the inside line, as we know how good of a pusher that 33 is as well. So now Kevin Freeze is going to try to lead that bottom side to see if he can get a lap led.
I'm quite surprised I didn't see the 02 or the 18 drop to the inside there. That kind of boggles me a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of discussion of which lane you want to be in. I mean, obviously the inside line's the shorter distance, but it does seem like that middle lane kind of does have really good momentum on the exit of the turns, especially when you got two drivers that are working really well together, like the 18 and the 02 obviously seem to be. And actually, you know what I'm looking at here, though, is I'm looking at a limitless train right now, Matt, because you look there in the 4 cars there on the outside line. You got the 14, the 06, the 18, and the 02 in reverse order here. So let's hop on the roof of Vicente Guerrero, and right in front of him are all his teammates here. So I think that's why they didn't drop down and said, hey, you know what? We can get all of our teammates in a row here. Let's get locked on and let's just cruise here and see what we can do as a team.
That's pretty much similar to what we saw last week, Kyle, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I say that they've had some times they've been able to work together, and it looks like this time by, though, Kevin Freeze is going to lead that lap in that 25 Kellogg's machine. Here comes, looks like kind of a combination duo here of TW and Bad Company trying to maybe work this third lane together. Randy Miner, Bud Steele, and Dean Wilkinson peeking over there. But look at this, though. Got to go now a second back here to Gary Jenkins. He's going to pick up the 16 of Jimmy Crow Jr. You're going to pick up David Overstreet, Robert Jordan, Gabe Butler, Eric Lurie, and JD Crow. So again, they're going to have to start hustling a little bit here, Matt, because right now they're just on the outside looking in on that draft window. So to the 4 of Paul Turner. So they got to be careful not to fall too far back. But watching the ticker, it looks like it's just about to start to move back in the right direction. So I think they should get away with this. But this also will force them to burn a little extra fuel while trying to hustle these cars back to the front, which is currently being led by Kevin Freese in that 25 Kellogg's machine.
Yeah, you're right. That second groove looks like it's well, the inside line looks like it's you say the second line's got more momentum, but I don't know. I'm still in favor of the bottom line.
Yeah, it's so far. I think honestly, it's the ebb and flow. It just depends on the pusher and the organization you have. Obviously, it's been a little while for Seth back here at the Area 51, so I'm sure he's probably needs a couple races to kind of just, I would say, get in the groove with the 18 of Zach Workman and company. I mean, we know how good Seth is, so I think probably just getting comfortable with the other drivers, getting familiar. Yeah, and that's what it's going to be, is just getting, okay, yep, I remember how to do this. I know how you work, and yeah, just getting them in the same page, and then you're going to start to see those guys rocket to the front like they just did right there. So give him another race or two, I think, and he'll probably be pretty much right on cue with those guys, and I think that's really what it's going to take. So I was crunching fuel numbers for a moment there, Matt, looking at the numbers here. So basically these guys all pitted with about 66 laps to go roughly. And from everything I'm seeing, I don't see it changing anything. There's no way it can be a one-stop to the end. They would have to go 33 laps per stint, which we just know is not feasibly possible. So basically right now, if you split it evenly, it'd be 22 laps. Basically to get to lap 78 would be the way to split it in kind of in thirds there. So we'll have to wait and see if that comes into play. But man, look at these two on the outside though. Bud Steele and Dean Wilkinson. They're working pretty well as just the duo right now. As they had for a moment got alongside the 02 and the 25, now they drop back about a row. They need that third car, because once Dean gets hot, he has to roll off a little bit, and you can see as soon as that separation happens, they just lose all the momentum in that third lane. So watch to see maybe that 101. Randy Miner, maybe he pops up at some point to try to help him out here. But yeah, right now they're working really well together. But yeah, Seth and Zach right now, they're definitely trying to stay lined up together here. But my concern again, Matt, though, a little bit of side-to-side movement, especially in that middle lane, because even though you got so much room to work with, everybody really wants to pinch that middle and the bottom. Whoa. So yeah, and you can see again, there's a little bobbles, and just those are those little movements that just you get nervous.
Yeah, it makes me nervous, and I'm sitting here in the booth with you. But as you were saying about Bud Steele and Dean there, what? Never mind. I see a third car coming up the lane.
Yeah, I think that is Guy Brack on the 6'9". Looks like he's ready to kind of help them out, join that party as well. I'll say right now we've got a couple of drivers that have made some big gains in the start of this race here. Guys at plus 12 currently. Seth Gruber's plus 15, Zach Workman's plus 11, David Bowman plus 12. So again, Talladega really opens things up with that third lane to really make some early moves often and try to jump towards the front from where they started. So Daytona, you don't see as much of that, but yeah, definitely in Talladega you have a lot more room to work with and kind of play with. And can confirm as well, though, the other groups, they have caught the main pack. I think right now it's just by choice that these four here, I think working with the Bootknocker group of Gary Jenkins, Gabe Butler, JD Crow, Eric Laurie, I think they're planning on staying about this second or so off, or 6/10 or so off. But yeah, it looks like we're starting to have a little bit of connectivity issues. I saw a couple of drivers starting to blink a little bit.
I was looking further in the back. I wouldn't be too concerned about them losing the draft. They're just being a little bit more safer, a little bit more calmer. Wait a minute, I got a kitty that just jumped on top of me. But yeah, they're. I'm just worried about them losing the draft.
Yeah, I think right now draft-wise they're okay. You can see right now, so let's say we're going right here, kind of showing the static TV cams of these guys just haul the mail past. It's just the outright pace of these guys going at 180, 190 plus here. Just amazing how fast these things are, and say especially when you're standing still, it definitely kind of gives that sense of speed. But yeah, You aren't wrong though on that, Matt. It's always a little nervous, but again, I think when they have the four of them, I think they feel pretty solid in what they're doing. You see, they've easily caught that group now a little tighter here, and actually even now it's Paul Turner that's starting to kind of sneak away from Jimmy Crow Jr., Robert Jordan, just a teeny bit. Again, only 4/10, so I think they should be okay, but it is always a little bit of a cause for concern though on that one. And also got to give a shout out over to Kevin Nagels. Obviously, know who he's rooting for. That's going to be that 06 machine right there of Cody, who is right now sitting in the 4th position as they run, working with his teammate of Zach Workman. As you see, while we're kind of focusing on some of the other stuff, though, you can see Kevin Freeze. He's actually got lined up now with the 02 of Seth Gruber here. So they kind of split up a little bit, but not a big change here. And kind of the original, if you will, Limitless teammates now lined up in that 3rd lane. The only ones they're missing, unfortunately, still BK Anderson. Definitely miss having BK on track. Hopefully all's going well with him.
Oh, yeah.
As there goes the 18, Zach Workman. He drops to the inside in front of Kevin Freeze. So I think probably that 06 was starting to get a little bit warm for Cody. So he said, hey, I need you to drop low when you can. Now it's going to be up to Vicente. See, can Vicente push that 06 here? Because Cody's going to want to lead a lap too. Again, everybody's going to want to get every bonus point they can. So I'll hop once again back on board with that 14 of Vicente Guerrero. As you can see right now, Cody definitely keeping Kevin Freeze pinned to the inside line. Nowhere for Kevin to go except for to kind of just push that 18. As they say, you can see the 06 starting just to edge ever closer to that 25 and to the 18 here.
Kind of looked like the 69 wanted to try and get up in front of the 55.
And actually, there's some reason for that, Matt. Look at the 55 here. You get a look there.
There we go.
Dean's got a little bit of nose damage, Matt. I don't think we noticed that before, but that right front, this gets a little high there. Yeah, that right front of Dean Wilkinson's got a little bit of damage to us. I try to see if we can get a better angle, but definitely got a right front crinkle on that fender. So that's not going to be a car you want to lead. You're going to want that car to be a pusher. Right now, Dean is still, he's just like, I'm going to keep after here. But yeah, a little bit of damage there for Dean. Not sure if he's aware of it or not, but right now it doesn't seem to be hampering his plans of trying to get back to the front in that 3rd lane. But I do wonder if he's maybe lost a mile an hour or two in that 55, especially while leading. But man, right now though, that inside lane, Matt, it is fighting strong on the bottom because they've actually now, you can see that 06 is about 2 car lengths now back from the front. But of course, as soon as I say that ebb and flow again, it's going to surge back to the 06 of Cody Nagels. He's going to start to push a little bit further up again behind the, or so I should say next to the 25 of Kevin Freeze, where we saw just about half a lap ago. He was actually alongside the 02 of Seth Gruber. So yeah, just right now the ebb and flow kind of going back and forth. But right now I'd say the edge definitely seems to be on that bottom lane being led by Zach Workman here.
I was trying to go back to see where that came from. Oh, that came from the first caution we had.
So right now, Matt, we are on lap 25. Everybody pitted around lap 9 or 10. So it's been about 15 laps since they pitted, which should mean they can go another approximately 10 laps before they pit, maybe 11 for some. It seemed like 26, 27, 28 was kind of the magic window for fuel. Again, we talked about it, though. They can go, if they want to split it evenly, they could pit 22 laps twice, basically, to kind of make their fuel number to the end. Yep. So, but I do wonder if maybe there's a strategy where it's like, hey, if we run one of them long, that second or final stop could be the one that's a really short stop. I mean, I go back to Thursday night, Matt, because that was just the craziest race I've seen, where basically 3 drivers broke away after the first set of pit stops, and then from then on it went caution free. There was some on-track incidents, but the race did go caution free. Caution never flew for any of the track incidents because they all wound up off track. But the top 3 lapped the field, and nobody could catch them over the entire after the first pit stop of the race under green flag conditions. So I mean, I believe that was Brian Wing, Kevin Freeze, and the 07 of Robert DuPont. So that makes me like, if I had that situation, it's like, well, hey guys, what if we pit the first one early? Maybe try to short fill the car a little bit, see if we can break away from the pack maybe, and then kind of do what they did on Thursday. I wonder if that Thursday race maybe plays into anybody's strategy here tonight, where they say, hey, maybe if we can do one can on this first stop and then take what we need on the second stop to the end, or if they say kind of the vice versa, where they say, okay, let's kind of take the long stop first, short stop second. So It'll be fun to see kind of how these guys play it out, or do they just all basically run it all the way absolutely dry and then take whatever they need at the end. So with the timing of the yellow, there will be some opportunities of when to pit here, because like I said, they will need to go 22 laps on fuel to make it on 2 more stops. When these, we know they can go about 26 or so roughly, so it gives us about a 4-lap window at least, Matt, for I think for these guys to kind of play with some magic. But here comes that third lane though. The TW, it looks like TW and the other group there of Bad Company getting hooked up together in that third lane. They said, okay, we've been sitting here long enough. Let's go play with these guys up front.
So, I was thinking about pit stops. I'm thinking probably around 36, 37 is when these drivers are going to hit pit road. Because remember, they went back green lap 12, 13?
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, so yeah, 36, 37, probably about the magic number. As right now, everybody's starting to pick up the pace though, Matt, because here comes that third lane. Look at the move.
Wow, look at that move.
So that's Randy Minor, kind of like we talked about, doing the elevator there, top to bottom there. Cleared the 06, cleared the 18, just jumped straight to the bottom. And that's again just that great pushing by Dean Wilkinson, by Robert Rock, the 59 of Jay Hilliard, as well, Bud Steele. So, and that's what that third lane can do. You can get some big momentum here, but unfortunately for that 101, it won't be enough to lead that lap there. Cody Nagel's able to hold on and lead that lap in the 06 as he's got his teammate of Vicente Guerrero behind him. But now it's just going to be kind of who gets the push win right now, Matt, for like which driver is going to lead these laps, because these guys are all very, very evenly matched, and everybody's just ups their game so much.
Yeah, these guys are not saving fuel at all.
No, definitely no fuel saving right now. This is kind of like I said. This is kind of where Kevin Freese is probably enjoying himself, just getting to be aggressive, make the big moves, work with people, kind of push and shove and do what you got to do. So, luckily, Brian, I think Kevin's probably in his happy spot right now, kind of racing hard and making these moves right here. But right now, just again, you can see though that those two in the middle lane though, they've actually kind of separated themselves a little bit from the 411 of Tom Dixon here. So right now they're starting to break away a little bit. I think Randy did lead that lap. But Matt, let's jump around a little bit. We haven't talked about a couple of drivers here that have just been I feel like been being a little quiet here. We've talked a little bit about David Bone in the 33 right now. He's sitting just in the top 10 there. Let's say still a little ways off of just kind of, just cruising. Same thing Robert DuPont. Robert's just having a really quiet night in the 07. I think, like you said, Matt, too, probably just trying to save a little bit of fuel, maybe try to shorten his pit stop once we get to that pit window. Not a lot of big moves here for him yet. Jay Hilliard also been pretty quiet until that last little bit there. We started really kind of pushing and shoving with his teammates to get his teammates up there. And then Bob Fitzgerald right now, Matt. Bob just doing the Bob race right now, just keeping that Napa car clean. And then he's going to try to make, I think, the same thing. Wait till it's really time to make those big moves, and then he will jump forward once it's really time to go. That's the way Bob's been racing, and it's usually more often than not, it's pretty successful. So he just, like I said, he just has to make sure he doesn't get kind of caught out and hung out to dry. But while we're focusing on the back a little bit, though, that second lane, third lane, they have really started to fall apart here. You can see everybody's trying to find a pocket to get into. The 06, he found a hole, but Vicente not so lucky. He's waiting for some help, and he's going to get some help now, it looks like, with the 59. But I think the 59 is trying to get his teammates into the middle, but now they're going to wind up going 3 wide with each other, unfortunately. And that's never what you wanted to see there. So they're going to have to try to get a little bit more reorganized here. And then also we mentioned Paul Turner in that number 4 car, also just same thing, kind of just cruising right now, playing it, I think, just a little bit easy here. Let's say it's the perfect paint scheme for Talladega with the Laughing Clown Malt Liquor car in that number 4. So definitely hats off to Paul for having some fun with that paint scheme there. And then we talked about some of the boot knockers and such. You got Jimmy Crow Jr., Gary Jenkins, Gabe Butler, J. Crow, Eric Laurie. We'll be talking about them at some point soon, Matt. And then also Robert Jordan, again, remember, he missed the start of this race in the 74 car. He is up in the mix here now as well there, working in the 14th position currently. So that caution, a big break for him and put him right back into the mix. So glad to see Robert up here as well. Say just same thing, kind of right now the last car in the lead pack on the outside line. But yeah, now that second lane, we talked about them upgrade drop to the bottom. Kevin Freese decided, you know what, I want to go and lead some more laps here in that number 25 machine. So Kevin's going to jump back up top here. Looks like lead that lap for Kevin. And there he goes, straight back to the bottom in front of the 101. And yeah, Matt, we're just about getting into that window here because we're at 33 now. So we restarted on lap number 12. So if we do that 26 laps or so from 12, that would be about 38. So I'd say probably about 6 more laps is probably about the max they can go. But I think the window just about is going to open, though, for these guys that maybe try to short pit again and maybe try to go a little bit off strategy here.
Yeah, if I was more toward the back, like Gary Jenkins, Gabe Butler, JD, and Eric, I wonder how much further they can go compared to these guys running up front the whole entire time up here. Maybe 38, Kyle.
Yeah, 38 might be definitely a feasible number for sure for these guys. It just really depends on what the strategy is. The one thing I do say though a lot, Matt, is and I'm looking at the position like where Gary and Gabe and these guys are. I don't want to pit from there. I really want to start to try to charge forward before the pit stop window opens. And while we were watching all that, I noticed Jay Hilliard he's able to sneak in front of Kevin Freese. Kevin trying to push Jay back clear. I think also trying to push himself clear to try to see if he can find a way to get around these guys. But right now he's kind of in a bit of a sandwich here of TW and bad company. I think that was their goal here, was that, hey, let's try to charge to the front and let's try to pit from the front for these drivers up for these two teams. So like I said, right now Kevin right now kind of the meat in the sandwich, if you will. So he's going to make it difficult, I feel like, for TW to just make it easy and kind of roll over and try to slot in front of them. So I think Kevin's job here is probably going to try to keep pushing that 59 out in front. And actually here you can see he's actually going to clear the 171. Does he jump to the top, maybe try to make another charge? Looks like no, staying content behind the 59. So I think right now the 171, though, of Robert Rock, 55 Dean Wilkinson, they're going to try to find an opening somewhere here. But obviously, as we get later on into this run, other than teammates, everybody's going to start to get a little more greedy and not try to give any openings if they can avoid it. As here, looks like, here comes Kevin Freese. I wasn't sure initially, so Kevin's going to come in, and he's going to bring, it looks like, the 411 and the 33, Tom Dixon, David Bone in with him. And not sure if this is by strategy or if those three working together. They're just kind of by chance, as I trying to spy on Discords, and I don't see Kevin in there. But yeah, so those three are going to try to come in a little earlier like we talked about. So now we'll see. It's only 3 cars, so do other drivers now react to those 3 or not? As you can see, the 171 is going to clear the 59. Unfortunately, Dean Wilkinson now is going to be the one kind of left holding the bill here and hopefully find somewhere to slot in, but it looks like he's just going to drop to the back in this 55. So let's see if we see TW, maybe if they decide to come in this time. As you see, a lot of movement up front here. These guys starting to wobble around a little bit. I think the 02 is giving Dean a big opening there. Yet there they go. Quick reaction from these guys. As soon as those other ones hit pit road, they're going to jump right back on with them. And it looks like it's pretty much the field. Oh, contact for the 69 into the pits there. Guy Bracco hit the pit wall. David Overstreet made contact with him as well. So damage for both of those cars here. It's going to cost them a little bit of time. And then here, those 4 that were staying in the back here, though, Matt. Gary Jenkins, Gabe Butler, JD Crow, Eric Laurie. They're going to go at least one more lap here. So this is where they're going to, if they come in this time, they got to push for all they're worth right now to try to minimize that time loss like we talked about. So watch for these guys to try to get a very, very fast in-lap here.
Looks like Robert Rock got a speeding penalty.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 on entry for Robert Rock. And it looks like that's the only penalty thus far on entry. And here comes the rest of the guys. They're going to come in together, the 4 of them. Gabe looks like he's going to kind of just sneak ahead here at the entry. As, oh man, these guys getting everything they could there on entry. So we'll jump back now to Jay Hilliard as he's going to win the race off of pit road for that second group. But now we're going to watch off the back because at some point we expect to see that number 25 of Kevin Freese with help from Tom Dixon should be making a bit of a charge on the outside line. But it doesn't look like it's anywhere near these top 4 drivers. So I'm going to say big win right now here to Jay Hilliard, Randy Miner, Zach Workman, Cody Nagels. They could try to make a 4-car breakaway because it's about 1.3 seconds between the 06 to the 25 of Kevin Freese. So we'll keep an eye on them and see if they can do a breakaway. And there's the boot knockers rolling out of pit road right now. They're going to have to hustle here, Matt, to try to stay on this lead pack here because those top 4 will get by them. I think they're going to merge in right here with that second pack. And I'm waiting for the intervals to see how it looks, but I think that second pack is slowly gaining on the top 3. Just got to wait for them to kind of everybody to merge in and get sorted out here. And so, yeah, it looks like Gabe's going to merge in safely with them. And, yeah, right now that gap between Cody Nagels, Kevin Freeze down to 3/4 of a second. So, great job by Kevin and Tom here working together there. And you can see wasting no time to make that big charge. Unfortunately, it looks like we will have about 4 drivers that lost the pack other than the 171 of Robert Rock with his pit penalty. That's going to be Paul Turner, Jimmy Crow Jr., Guy Bracco, and Bob Fitzgerald, unfortunately losing the draft through that pit cycle. As up front, though, Kevin Freeze is going to make the big charge to the inside. Can he clear the 18 and jump up? Oh, he can. Late move, big move. So Kevin Freeze is going to try to take that momentum to the front. And yeah, that last time by, Seth Gruber ran the fastest lap of the race, Matt, a 49.06. Almost in the 48-second bracket for that 02.
I had to go back and replay that myself. That was, that was kind of like one of those brown stain moments for me.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, they seem to know pretty much every inch of these cars here. Oh, big move by Kevin Freeze straight to the inside once he clears as we just crossed the halfway point here. So Kevin Freeze now back to the point, but may not be for long because here comes the 18, the 06 working together. The 02's right there as well. And so they're starting to make another charge. And you see just in the background, those boot knockers are still right there too. But they've kind of dropped back a little bit just to play it a little bit safe here. And they've also picked up the 60 of David Overstreet, so great job by David. And actually got to add Bud Steele, unfortunately. Looks like Bud has lost these guys, unfortunately. So that 6 car going to be kind of off on his own. And then you got to go another 8 seconds back to Jimmy Crow Jr., who has picked up the 69 and the 4 here. And unfortunately, got to go another 6 seconds back to the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald, who Bob has some pretty significant rear end damage. Wonder if he maybe had some contact entering pit road, possibly. Maybe part of the reason why that 08 lost the draft there. So that's a tough break for Bob. But again, still lots of racing to go. Looks like they're coming up on that 171 of Robert Rock. Expect him to probably go up to the 3rd lane here. Let those guys all go low. And he should be able to tuck right back in behind them. But while we're looking at all that, the 18 and 06, they do clear the 25. That's going to now allow Seth Gruber here to try to lead that 2nd lane with, once again, Robert Punch is having a great season in that 07 machine. Going to try to push that 02 to the front as well. And yeah, there they go around the 171. Put Robert down 1 lap. Right now, the only car 1 lap down, but that will change as they start to catch those drivers without draft.
I remember Robert when he first came in this league. He was quite new, and he'd be a little slow, get a little caught up in little incidents and cause little incidents. And just this year, he just like turned up the wicker. And he's like a contender week in and week out. And my hats off to him. I would like to know what he's learned. I would like to put that in mind, that restrictor plate game.
Yeah, no, he's definitely been really, really good these past couple of seasons. I mean, he's had multiple podium finishes this season here between the 2 series as well. And again, he was one of those 3 that lapped the field on Thursday night with Kevin Freeze, Brian Wings. I mean, they were on it. I mean, that just shows how good he was getting in and out of pit road, because there was only 2 other guys that were as good as he was. And there were those 3 that were able to put the whole field a lap down. So definitely, like I said, he has definitely been stepping up his game on track, and not just on track, of course, but also getting on and off of pit road, hitting your pit stalls. All those little things add up to a big success, and that's what we've definitely been seeing out of the 07. Then again, also guys, right now commending Robert Jordan as well in that 74. Again, missed the start of the race, got the caution he needed, and he's been just wasting no time getting right back up there now as he sits just inside the top 10 there behind the 14 of Vicente Guerrero. And yeah, so right now we got to, again, and then I go back again, I'm waiting because I know at some point that the sandbags are going to come off these 4 in the back here, the 1, the 5, the 90, and the 071. You know at some point it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. You just don't know when. But we do know, Matt, is that fuel window probably about 10 more laps, and that would be when the fuel window officially opens to the end. But then I think, again, it's that decision of when do you want to pit? Do you want to pit once you're in your window? Do you put any green, white, checkered margin in your fuel tank? Or do you want to wait? Because, I mean, if you're in a big pack, you're probably making pretty good speed right now. So you don't know if let's say 4 of you pit, if you get split up, then you might be in trouble. You'll actually lose ground to the leader. So it's a big just gamble right now for what's the right call here. So it'll be fun to see what the strategies are. And definitely got to give a shout out to Mrs. Groover, Karen. She
showed up.
She's got one of her boys to root on. So no, let's say it's always a pleasure having you here rooting them on. And yeah, definitely always enjoyed your support for your boys. And I say that's definitely one of the people we were missing was having you back over here. So glad we were able to get Seth in. That way we were able to get you back over here. Hope you've been having a good weekend and been doing well. And definitely looking forward to seeing what your boy Seth can do here tonight. And as always, putting on a great show in that O2 machine.
You know, I always wonder, Gael, if 4 cars pitted, just off sequence. Just go fuel only. My question is, are they going to be faster than the group pack?
I think it just depends on how aggressive they draft. Because we've seen it before where 3 to 4 car packs have been able to make really good time on the main pack. The problem I'm seeing right now, though, is the main pack is being led by very, very good drivers who are very familiar with one another. You got the 02 and then the 07 lined up on the outside. You got on the inside. You got the 18, the 06, the 25. Like these are really, really stout plate racers here. Dean Wilkinson's right there in the 55 as well. So if it was a bit of a split, I would say like where it's maybe drivers that don't race with each other as often or the teammates are split up. I would say yes. I would like the four car kind of peel off idea. But when it's the group that's up here right now, I'm not as comfortable with doing the short pit because there's too many potentials to go wrong. Like if one of your drivers misses the pit road entry or kind of speeds or just maybe has a long stop or whatever, then you lose. I mean, you lose about a quarter of what you could have had there for your speed. Yeah. So, I'm a little iffy about that one. As I say, chiming in here as well as one of our other buddies, Chris Django Matthews, chiming in, one of our broadcasters / racers, saying he's hoping for a limitless win with no commentators' curses because man, I have been on a commentators' curse roll. And the crazy part is, it hasn't just been in Area 51. I've been commentators cursing actual NASCAR races. Saying Chris can vouch for it because we were in the chat together and we're making comments about something. And then literally, I think like 5 or 10 laps later, that driver has an issue. And so, my commentator's curse knows no bounds. So, hopefully it doesn't come into play. But hopefully it doesn't come into play. But definitely been. It's been a good show this much or so far this far, and I really appreciate it, Karen, as well as like I said, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you guys kind of watching and supporting and kind of being a part of this. So I'd say honestly our success is all just based on you guys all watching and supporting us. So definitely big thanks for being a part of this. It just makes it so much fun. So it's been a lot of fun. But Matt, we're down to next time by is going to be 30 to go here. So again, that fuel window probably about 5 more laps just about here before these drivers can make it to the end. The question will be who blinks first.
I think it'll be about 10 more laps. Thinking about if there's a green, white checker situation.
So next thing coming up is they're going to come up on the 08 here of Bob Fitzgerald and probably another 3 to 4 laps here. Because unfortunately I'm going to say less than that because you can see there's Bob entering turn 1 because he has no draft. So by himself, he's running 53.80s. Leaders are running 50.20. So 3.5 seconds quicker, unfortunately, for the leaders to Bob, which, again, just nothing he can do. He's got no drafting help. So once he tags onto the back of this pack, his pace will pick up drastically. And then he's going to have the lucky dog battle, Matt, because he's going to have to compete with Robert Rock for that position. So Robert, same thing. He just can't sit on his laurels. He's going to make sure he merges in front of the 08 car just in case. You never know if and when yellows could fall. So keep an eye out for that 171 and the 08 here shortly. But the question is going to be, like you said, Matt, once they pit here, be it 25 to go, 20 to go, I think they can even go all the way to about 15 to go, is once the first group of drivers blink, who's going to be the next in line. Do they respond immediately, or do they say, all right, I think we could maybe actually push a little harder and gain some time on them over the pit stop cycle? So that's going to be the question mark here as they go around that 08 like we just had talked about. So Bob should be able to tag in right here with these guys. But again, someone's going to be making a move at some point here to try to get to the front before pit stops. Again, at some point, I think we're going to have to see these 4 here in the back, the 1, the 5, the 90, the 071. I feel like they haven't shown their hand yet, and I know it's coming soon. Actually, here's that lucky dog battle right now. Bob right now has it. So this is where that 171, he's got to be aggressive, stay with these guys on the inside line, see if he can clear the 08, because again, if a yellow comes out, this could be all to play for. So right now, actually, Bob in that spot, but again, right now, not a lot of drafting help for that 08 here. So we'll keep an eye on them right now. But up front, it's the 07 and the 02 leading the front row here with the 18 and the 55 as their pushers.
Man, oh man. When are they going to pit? Man, my prediction, I think some of these drivers are going to roll the dice and go on with that the early pit. I really think that's going to happen.
It also depends on if the early pit stop still allows them to have that 1 can of fuel or less potential.
Yes,
so
yes,
that's going to be the other thing too to see. But I do see everybody starting to jump around. I saw one right there, Vicente Guerrero. He forced his way to the bottom as soon as he could. I'm watching Dean Wilkinson. Dean's dropping back, so everybody's backing off the pace here, Matt. I think these guys are.
You can't. I said it this week in and week out, Kyle. You cannot win without your teammates here. That's 100%. I get to ask Zach. He came close last week, and it is what it is. I mean, you can't win on your own. And I would like to say I can win by myself, but I've never seen it done. And can anyone else prove me wrong? Please do.
Yeah, I think you're going to need friends, you're going to need teammates, or again, you just might have to put yourself in the right place where kind of someone's forced to help you at the end. So, but yeah, I say we're getting to it now because right now, Matt, we just crossed that number we talked about, 26 to go here. So this should just about open that window for these guys to make that pit stop to the end under regulation. This doesn't show for green, white checkers yet, because if we get a late yellow, that could force the hand of some of these drivers to have to hit pit road to take a splash of fuel. So it's one of those things, do you take the hit now or do you risk taking the hit later with having to maybe make a late splash of fuel? So right now that 18 is just pushing the 02 for all he's worth right here. So right now we talked about everybody's backing it down. Now the pace is picked back up again on that second lane, the 07 and the 55. And looking, anybody leaning? Nope, nobody's coming in here. So Matt, they're going a little further.
Sorry, Gail. I'm thinking about lap 56. I really think so you see some of these drivers duck on the pit road, have enough fuel for a green-white checker. Oh my God! Hold it. No,
caution is out. A huge one here at Talladega. Unfortunately, number of drivers involved in this one. You can see a couple still trying to work their way through it. Unfortunately, you see Dean Wilkinson's there, Eric Laurie, Gary Jenkins also involved. Gabe Butler, Gabe Butler, and JD Crow maybe getting through that. The 18, unfortunately, also was involved here. And yeah, unfortunately, I think it kicked off just at the absolute front of the field here. I think just maybe a move to try to get to the bottom there maybe wasn't quite clear. We'll have to go back and take a look here. So we're gonna actually, you can already see it's already kind of started occurring here. So let's back it up a little bit further here. And we're going to focus on the 07 here of Robert DuPont with the 02. So it looks like that's about where the incident occurred here. So we're going to focus on the 07 to 55 here. I think what I'm guessing is for just a split second, the 07 probably is clear of the 02. But then you can see the momentum shift. And yeah, there goes the 07. A little hesitation there. You see the 02 tries to avoid him. And then at this point, just everybody's trying to kind of gather their cars back up. And this is that accordion effect. Oh, you see actually Dean Wilkinson just catches the outside wall. Contact between him and the 74 car. That collects the 18 there. The 06 gets a little piece. Somehow the 02 hangs on to it. Kevin Freeze makes a nice quick evasive action there as well. So yeah, and then you can see everybody else here starting to kind of, unfortunately, just nowhere to go. Bob Fitzgerald in the 08, he gets a piece of it as well. Then we'll jump back a little further to see some of these other drivers. That's where everybody's trying to back it down. The 071, the 90, the 1, the 5. And actually, I think these guys might have gotten away with it. Maybe a little bit of contact with each other. No, there's the shot for Eric Laurie. Unfortunately, he gets a pretty good hit as well. So, yeah, unfortunately, a number of drivers here involved. Looks like some of those that got the worst of it, Robert Jordan, who we had just mentioned there. Let's go back to live action here, Matt, because drivers are on pit road. So at this point, though, I mean, now we know they're good to go to the end here. There's no strategy at this point. And that's where maybe short pitting would have been the way to go, Matt, because then you would have been out, you would have been away from that whole incident there, and everything would have been good.
Right.
So, unfortunately, some of those got involved in the incident. It's a great break for those that missed, that lost the draft there. Though we got to talk about those 4 drivers that had missed the main pack, so that's great for them. And I believe it's gonna be the 171 here. Robert Rock, he gets waved by, so he's back on the lead lap. So it's a good break for him. Zach Workman, he's trying to get this car to pit road, but unfortunately, I don't know if that thing's gonna last here. Looks like that motor's just about done here, unfortunately for him. And unfortunately, we saw Bob Fitzgerald was caught up in that incident, so he is unfortunately not the wave around. And also, I think Cody Nagels had to take a tow in the 06, unfortunately. So. Looks like Cody and Zach right now are the ones that got the worst of it here, as the 18 is able to get rolling again here. But yeah, unfortunately, some of these guys just in a tough spot right now as everybody's starting to kind of get caught back up to the pace car. So while everybody gets sorted here, let's step away for a moment because we're going to have lots of racing to the finish here in a bit. So stay tuned. We'll get back to go on the one to go. Alright, as you can see, lights are off of the pace car. A little surprised to see the 25 of Kevin Freese actually jump back onto pit road on that 25 machine, but opted to maybe get a little extra fuel, 4 tires as well for that 25 car. So Kevin gonna actually kind of give up the lead there to do what he did, so we'll keep an eye on him. Can confirm that Bob Fitzgerald is back out on track, 1 lap down. Unfortunately, Cody Nagels is also back on track, but 2 down. So unfortunately, just bad play, wrong place, wrong time for that 06 machine. But that being said, I mean, at this point, I say it's pretty much an outright run to the finish here. As I say, I think everybody's safely in their fuel window. Probably even safely a little bit for a green-white checkered or 2. Maybe not all 3, but I think they could probably work the fuel number by the time they get to that 3rd one. So it's all to play for here. So at this point, there's no more strategy on fuel. It's just basically get to the front, try to figure out when and where you want to make the move to get to the front. So It's going to be a very, very different race from here to the end here, as Seth Gruber going to lead this thing. Jay Hillier to his outside, Robert DuPont in row 2 next to David Overstreet, and then Randy Minor, Vicente Guerrero rounding out row number 3. So again, Seth Gruber, he's got control here. He can go as early or late as he chooses. And it looks like he's going to wait until that Geico restart zone. Wait for that flagman to throw this green flag, and we will be back underway. As that Yoshi Toyota Supra is back under speed here. A little bit of rear crinkle on that O2 car, but shouldn't affect it at all. So not too worried about that one. Decided to save that fast repair. Also save the time on pit road because he wants to keep that track position as he leads the field back into turn number 1 and 2 here. 21 to go.
The race has just begun, Kyle.
Yeah, so yeah, they've done all the pleasantries. Now it's time for the outright brawl to happen here. As they say that Jay Hillier getting great pushes from David Overstreet here. Can't clear, but got just a nose ahead there entering turn number 1. And here comes that third lane that we talked about when they were going to start to make their move. And it's going to be now that 5 machine of JD Crow. He's up there with Bud Steele. Eric Laurie's up there as well. Also see Gabe Butler in the middle here in the 1 car behind the 14 of Vicente Guerrero. So they've done their riding. They said, okay, well, let's go for it now. It's time to make it happen. But again, now they're in the Hornet's Nest. And again, everybody's going to be pushing and shoving and getting very aggressive as that 59 able to clear the O2 from the help by that 68 of David Overstreet. So Jay Hillier now our current leader here, 20 to go.
I would not want to be in that pack right about now. I want to be back where Paul Turner's at.
Yeah, so Paul. Yeah, Paul's definitely in a safer spot right now. Even further safe is going to be that 171 of Robert Rock. But yeah, and actually, unscheduled pit stop here for Robert Jordan. Didn't catch that. He's on pit road. Possible pit penalty for the 74. Unfortunately, so it's just a tough night for Robert. They're missing the start, getting his lap back, and now back on a pit road, serving a penalty. But what that will do is now I think open the door for that lucky dog, I think, to still be in the hands of Bob Fitzgerald. So again, if I'm Bob here in the 08, I'm maybe going a little further back there because right now he is right behind these guys. I'd rather be about where Cody Nagels is, just like pretty much out the back, where you have a lot of room to wiggle because, as I said, these guys are going to be going at it pretty aggressively here. As you see, that 68 getting a big push from Vicente, the 6 and the 5 getting locked on very strongly together as well. But right now, David Overstreet still nose to head here as they hit turn number 3. And yeah, I mean, at this point, Matt, it's anybody's guess who's going to have the edge here. But these guys, you can tell, they're all starting to stay right on top of each other here. And I think for the first time tonight, too, the 1 and the 25, they've gotten lined up together here. But right now, just nowhere for them to go anywhere with that lineup. So it's all to play for here as we're down to 18 to go.
I'll say, look at that run that David Overstreet has. I don't think he's going to clear it. No.
And we're also going to get to the point here soon, Matt, where even if you clear the inside line, do you want to drop to the inside line? Because there's something to be said about being the leader of that middle lane. It may not be in Vicente's best interest, but it could be in David's best interest to say, hey, I want to be the leader of this middle line because I feel like that's the best place to have a chance to win this race. But he's got to be careful because right now that 5 machine was just a nose ahead. And look at that, they're backing down because that's going to now open the door for the 02 to go. Oh, they're going to go 4 wide here, Matt, through the tri-oval.
4 wide.
It works through the tri-oval, but it's going to get squeezed here into turn number 3. This is going to be very hairy, folks. And I think they are able to survive the 4 wide. So great job, everybody. I think the award there goes to Eric Laurie. I think Eric rolled out of it, gave David Overstreet somewhere to go. But that was very, very touch and go. But what that's done, though, is look it up top. That we talked about.
Look at the move. Gabe Butler and Kevin Freeze are hooked up together in the 3rd lane.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. The 1 and 25, they were together, but they had nowhere to go. But with all of that, they got an opening, and now they're going to lead that 3rd lane. They're also going to pick up their teammate of the 5 of JD Crow. So that's a very, very stout combo to work with here together here as we're down to 16 to go at the line. Gabe's going to lead this lap in that number 1 machine. Clears the O2. He jumps to the middle in front of Seth Gruber. and right now opting to stay in the middle. Doesn't want to go to the bottom yet. I think, again, he's going to kind of...
Oh, a little contact in the back. Look like J.D. Crow. Not J.D. Crow, I'm sorry.
Jimmy Crow Jr. Yeah, I see the right front damage, but looks like he's okay. Should hold on to the draft here, but yeah, definitely a little bit of damage to that 16 machine. But we still stay green. Everybody's able to keep their cars pointed straight. As right now, 25 Kevin Freeze almost had Gabe cleared, but not enough. Gabe, again, he's not giving up that middle lane. I think he wants to stay there right now. He knows he's got good help behind him with the 02 car. As
little contact between 02 and the 25, just door to door there.
Yeah, everybody's starting to squeeze a little tighter here, but Matt, we still got to do this for 15 more laps, so can we do it? Kevin Freeze going to lead that lap by a nose. But yeah, these guys are starting to go at it. Like you said, it's the intensity is ramping up. I mean, again, you've got the 59, the 07, the 101 on the inside, the 1, the 02, the 14 in the middle. Then you got the 25, the 5, and the 6 in the third lane. And and Bob Fitzgerald somehow, he's just, with all this that's gone on, he's kind of sucked himself up into the middle of this pack here. Again, if I'm Bob, I try to find somewhere to get out of here because I don't want to be in this mix right now. As you see that, 74 getting a little loose on the apron. He's going to try to hang on to it here.
Oh, I think he got in the grass.
Just hangs on to good hands by him. Actually, the 16 does lose the draft, though, Matt. So that damage was worse than I thought for Jimmy Crow Jr. So that's a tough break for him. He will need a yellow to get back into the thick of this thing. But right now we're 14 to go. And right now, again, we're still 3x3. And these guys are starting to just, again, ever more squeezing each other a little bit more, lap by lap push a little harder. These guys, again, they just kind of try to bend, and hopefully they don't break. But it's just these guys are going at it so aggressively right now. And right now it's between Jay Hilliard and Gabe Butler. Kevin Freeze hasn't got the push yet. But as I said, there he goes. He gets a nose ahead into turn number 3 again. But again, can't quite clear, so he stays locked onto that third lane. So it's anybody's guess which lane's going to be the one to get the right push at the right time. If we can go, again, caution-free for 13 more laps before we get to that white flag.
I don't want to see a caution. I want to see this thing go green to the end.
Yeah, it would be a very exciting finish, and they have done it before. But again, I mean, we saw. I mean, they got through a 4 wide, so the hope is that that part's gone away and they can kind of get regrouped and get after it. But the problem is now, again, if you're kind of pinned in the third row, 4th row, I mean, what do you do? You're stuck kind of just like, well, I got to stay in the lane I'm in and push whoever I can push. But I mean, if you're Vicente Guerrero, you're stuck where you are because right now Gabe is just controlling that middle lane. Seth Groover probably would love to try to get to the bottom in front of the 59 car, but he just doesn't have the room to do so yet. Vicente Guerrero, he's completely trapped right now in that 14 machine. So right now there's just not a lot of options here. And again, I think for Gabe, you don't really want to give up that preferred spot. As you can see, the 25 and the 1 squeezing each other through the tri-oval here. As we're getting close to it here, Matt, we have a dozen laps to go here. 12 more at Talladega.
How much longer can I'm guessing J.D. Crow can stay behind the 25? He's got to be pretty much burning red hot, running that third lane, trying to keep Kevin Freeze up in contention up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see right there's a little bit of separation. That's going to help cool the 5 car down. At some points, you'll probably see him kind of move a little bit left, a little bit right to try to help the temperatures as well there. We'll stay on board here and watch to see what, as the gap starts to close, probably out of 4, we'll see him get a little tighter and start to make the push on that 25. Again, and you don't want to initiate the bump in the turns in the tri-ovals, but if you can get locked on, you can continue to push through the turns if you feel comfortable doing it. And right now, again, Kevin Freeze just a nose ahead there at the line. So right now the momentum is going to the 25 at the right place at the right time. But he's got to hope for that to happen on the checkered flag. So next time by, Matt, we're going to be 10 to go. And so far, and you're right, though, that is the next thing to watch, though, is going to be watch the temperatures. Make sure the 02, the 5, the 07, they cannot get their cars too hot.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that water and the oil temp starts to rise, it's hard to get it back in check, and it can pop that thing. So these guys got to be very, very careful while watching what's going on in front of them. They also have to really watch those gauges. So those things they'll change colors. They'll start to flash red, and as soon as you see any sort of red or flashing, you got to find some clean air, and that's very hard to do here when you're in this giant pack like they are right now. We're We're at 10 to go, and again, Gabe was cleared the 59, but again, he's choosing to stay in that middle lane. I think he feels that's his best chance to win this race tonight, with the help from Seth Groover. And that's where, again, where the 59 Jay Hilliard, he's going to be the biggest fan of that 07 Robert DuPont. He wants him to push him to the victory here tonight if he gets the opportunity. And, of course, then you got the 25 and the 5, hoping that they can work together to get to the front. But at some point, I feel like one of these lanes is going to have just enough of a change where someone's going to jump lanes and it's going to change the players in this fight. It could be the inside line, it could be the middle, it could be the outside. I think if the 02 can push the one far enough clear of either the inside or the outside rows, watch for Seth Groover to try to make a move here. So, but right now, just there hasn't been the opening here because, like I said, he is just completely boxed in all around him. All he's able to do is watch the back of that number 1 Guinness machine. However, this was just almost was the opportunity right there. He almost had a chance there, Matt, to pop in front of the 25 of Kevin Freeze. That could have been the opportunity that Seth could have needed there to get back to being the lead car, but just wasn't clear enough. Waited for that spotter to clear him, wasn't able to get it. So unfortunately, he still stays pinned in here as we're down to single digits here. 9 to go, next time by 8 to go. And still, as it runs, continues to be between the 59, the 1, and the 25. Just depends on when and where the pushes happen.
I was going to say, look at that top 2 lanes. They are starting to gap the ones that are on the bottom lane with Jay Hilliard and company on the bottom.
And I think that's what the 02 is going to need. At some point, he's going to need that to open up where he can jump in front. But right now, he's basically in his... actually, the one, I think, looks like they've kind of actually backed down just a little bit because that 59 made a big charge there. You also saw a little bit of a little fireball out the side of the exhaust there from somebody. That usually means a lift off the throttle there. So the pace, you can see there, just had it back down just a little bit there from either maybe a little bobble or what. But again, these guys trying to regroup and get back after it here. But right now, like I said, it's anybody's guess here. But yeah, if you're that second car in line, your best bet for yourself is to just shove that car in front of you and try to clear them, and then hope that they actually change lanes, because again, there's no guarantee, there's no promises that they will. So yeah, right now it's anybody's guess, but right now it's looking good for these top 3 in that front row here, the 59, the 1, and the 25. So we'll see here as we're down to 7 more.
I really think Gabe is holding something back. He's not showing his true colors right now. I really think he's holding something back right now.
Yeah, it's very possible. Again, this is a very strategic race here, Matt. So it kind of starts at the end of these things. It kind of turns into a little bit of chess match where you can't. Yes, you want to be leading, you want to be pushing and everything, but you don't want to get out too far. You don't want to kind of show your hand too soon. I mean, there's so much.
Kevin got clear of Gabe there.
Oh, that's a big move there. That's going to change our players here now. Kevin Freeze leading that second lane, and he's going to lead that lap as well, but that's exactly what JD Crow wanted to have happen. Now JD has a chance to try to lead this thing on the third lane. So now watch that number 5 car. And again, now the same thing though, Gabe, he's had times he's cleared the 59, but he hasn't taken it. Does Kevin Freeze do the same thing now to Gabe, where he says, I'd rather be in front of you with you pushing me instead of having the number 59 pushing me? Again, not a knock at Jay Hilliard, but he and Gabe, they've worked together. They know each other very well. They've raced each other very frequently. So
yeah.
So now, unfortunately for the 02 car, Seth Groover, now he's even further trapped now in this third lane. Just nowhere for him to go here, Matt. But we're getting down to it here next time by here at the line. 5 laps to go here. Now it's up between Kevin Freeze, Jay Hilliard, and JD Crow could be our winners tonight. And again, it's still there's no guarantees because we don't know what's going to look like here. If we can get to that white flag, at that point, it's anybody's guess. Oh, we got one that dropped off to the apron. Couldn't tell who that was. Oh, it's the 08 of... That's actually... I like that call by Bob Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Get out of this thing, because again, you're the lucky dog right now. And there's the same thing we just saw right there. 25 cleared the 59, but does not drop to the inside. So again, I think Kevin feels that the middle lane is where he wants to be to try to win this race. But right now, Gabe is clear of this third lane. Does Gabe maybe try to jump in front of JD when the momentum shifts, or is he going to stay committed to the 25? So watch the one. He could make a move here. and right now opting to stay in the middle behind the 25, but that was an opportunity for Gabe. He could have tried to push that third lane if he wanted to maybe give himself a chance to win once again here in that third lane. But again, he's talked a lot about trying to repay some of his teammates that have helped him get his wins. So maybe we're starting to see that potential repayment coming into form here from that number 1 machine. In this case, maybe to the help of the 25. Again, Kevin's missed some races, so he does need to collect max points if he can, because after tonight, Matt, one more regular season race before we get to the playoffs. So, and that being said, we're coming down to it once again here. 3 to go at the line. And all these guys need, if they can get to the white flag at that point, this race will finish on that final lap. The caution will not fly. However, if there's an incident before they get the white flag, that's where the green-white checkered window opens. So these guys need to run 2 more clean laps here in order to make this thing in regulation. Otherwise, these guys are going to be going into overtime for 3 potential attempts should they need it.
These guys have proved me wrong. Man, I really didn't think they could hold it 3, and sometimes they went 4 wide through here, and it's just like amazing, these guys' car control. Hats off to these drivers.
Yeah, everybody's done a really good job. Like I said, at some point everybody's going to start to get that little extra push, a little extra squeeze, and that could be when everything comes unfolded. But say for us, I'm sure for them, everybody's hoping they can go 1 more lap here, because they're coming through the tri-oval here to get 2 to go. And then, like I said, if they can get this point here when that flagman throws that white flag, then we know it will be an official race. And at that point, it's pretty much within reason whoever crosses the start-finish line first. But, of course, does say all subject to admin approval. But look at this inside line, though. Jay Hilliard, he's got a great run. But Ops, again, he stays content here. He's going to stay with the 07. Robert DuPont had a second where he could have maybe thought about trying to sneak in front of the 25 of Kevin Freeze, but I think he wants to stay with his drafting partner, because right behind him is also that 101 there, Randy Miner, another teammate. So these guys, again, you can see how tight they are on each other. 02 right on the 01's bumper here as they come out of 4 here, Matt. Now they just need to make this tri-oval, and then we will be on our final lap. And then, like I said, that's will make it an official race. And, they're tight through the tri-oval to get to that white flag lap. But it looks like we're going to get there. 1 to go here, Talladega. Who will it be?
I'm just looking for that top lane, the 6 car of Bud Steele's. How much can he give the 5 car? How much of a push down the back straightaway here?
Yeah, say if Bud was saving any engine, now's the time to use it. Look at there, the 07. He's locked on the 59 there, and they're starting to make the push again too. So yeah, we're 3 by 3 here, Matt, coming through 3 for the final time here. Right now, Kevin Freeze had the nose entering turn number 3, but now the 59, the shorter distance. And watch for the side drafting out of turn number 4. It's looking.
Man, it looks like the 07 just got off the bumper of Jay Hilliard there, and it looks like he's not going to have the momentum.
Trouble in the back, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be Kevin Freeze getting the win. Gabe Butler able to actually push him through to actually grab 2nd spot as well. And it's going to be Jay Hilliard leading the inside line. Is going to bring it home in 3rd. Seth Groover still able to bring it home 4th. And then Robert DuPont going to round out our top 5 here at Talladega. But it's going to be Kevin Freeze getting the win tonight. Again, he needs max points, and he's going to do that once again here this evening, getting the win with help from the number 1. And then a great job by Jay Hilliard. Like I said, did everything he could, but just a little bit of separation there at the end. And that's, if we talk about the momentum shift, I think that was kind of the difference tonight. But in the end, though, it's going to be this number 25 Kellogg's machine of Kevin Freeze getting the win here at Talladega. So watch him pull up to the start-finish line, do some celebrations, as he is going to be a very happy driver. That is 2 in a row for that number 25 here as he gets to the start-finish line. So he's probably been in some pretty good practice, maybe not as good practice as Gabe Butler. A great-looking paint scheme in that number 25. Made and designed by Kevin Freeze himself, so hats off to him as there he goes. He's going to light this thing up and celebrate here at the start-finish line, getting the win tonight at Talladega. So, Matt, let's go find our drivers while he celebrates. Actually, while he celebrates,
sir.
let's actually pull up our final results first. That we can show you where your favorite drivers finished. Then we'll get to our interviews, as it's going to be Kevin Freeze over Gabe Butler by about 600ths of a second. Then Jay Hilliard beating Seth Gruber and Robert DuPont. And then JD Crow, Vicente Guerrero, Bud Steele, Gary Jenkins, Randy Miner rounding out our top 10. And then 11th on back, you've got Eric Laurie, Zach Workman, David Overstreet, David Bone, Paul Turner, Dean Wilkinson, Robert Rock, and Guy Bracco in 18th. And unfortunately, these drivers not the Knights they were looking for a little further back there. Tom Dixon, 19th. Bob Fitzgerald ends up 1 down in 20th. Cody Nagels, 2 down, 21st. Robert Jordan and Jimmy Crow Jr. there, 22nd through 23rd. So not the Knights they were hoping for, but again, I mean, unfortunately, just kind of the nature of the beast at these races from time to time, unfortunately. So that being said, Matt, let's go find our top 3 because they put on a hell of a show. And we're going to kick it off with the number 59 of Jay Hilliard. So we're going to pull Jay on in over here. Our third place finisher here tonight, Jay. Everything was looking good. You're in a great spot there. Had the inside line. Every so often you have a nose ahead of the 25, but just not enough at the very end. Just didn't quite get the push you needed there. But I mean, you and Robert working extremely well on the inside line. Anything on those final laps? If you like, let's say if you're able to clear the 25, like, do you maybe jump from the bottom to the middle to maybe try to control the second lane? I mean, what's going through your head in these final laps? Because I mean, I'm sure it's looks easier said than done from outside where we're sitting. I mean, what are you going through behind the wheel? And I mean, what can you do as the leader to try to give yourself the best chance to win these things?
Hey, Gail, thanks for broadcasting the race. And but yeah, when you're on the inside like that, it's the shortest way around, but you're pinched down, right? You're having to turn more wheel into the car, and it's pinching you down more. And the middle lane's really got the upper hand a little bit, especially when you got 2 good pushers, like Gabe was pushing Kevin. If I could have got far enough in front where I could have pulled in front of the middle, I'd have definitely done that. But it was just, we'd have real close, and then all of a sudden, we wouldn't have enough to get in the front, but right in the the middle lane. But it's still a good finish, and appreciate Robert pushing me, and it was just they were doing what they had to do. They were pinching a little bit, which they had to do, and keep me down on the yellow line, and that's what you got to do. So good job to Kevin and him.
Yeah, it was a great result, like I said. I mean, and that's the thing too is I mean, obviously not so much, but I mean, I'm sure you're thinking about points a little bit because of say after tonight we got 1 more to go before the playoffs hit. So, is that one of those things where it's kind of that risk versus reward? It's like, hey, I'll take a top 3 good points night and all that, and not risk any big moves to maybe that could change the outcome of it, or is it just even if it wasn't a points related thing where you're kind of in the position you're in, and you're kind of just going to stick with what you had there?
Yeah, I'm just stuck with where I had. I wasn't worried about points. I was wanting to win, So, but being on the bottom like that, it was just like I said, it was tough. They're running you really close. Side drafting, which is what they're supposed to do, and it keeps keeps a lot of wheel into the car, and you don't get you're not able to come off free off the corner, and they get by the time we get to the start finish line, they usually have a bumper or a fender in front of me each time. So it was one of those things. I was just trying to. Hopefully that maybe the third lane could slow down the middle lane a little bit, and maybe I could get right at the end. I could nose ahead, but yeah, I was just worried about trying to get a win. I wasn't worried about points at all.
That was a great result. Like I said, almost were able to get there, but yeah, definitely hats off to you, man, for that run, or for the podium, I should say, here tonight. It was a really good run for you, and yeah, like I said, just unfortunate, just didn't quite get the spot you needed there at the end. But like I said, you gave it a great run. It was a lot of fun for Matt and I to watch, and definitely want to give you the floor here for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that podium tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it. Just shout out to TW Motorsports, and appreciate everyone that Robert and Randy and those guys pushing me some, and thanks for you guys broadcasting as always, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Great job tonight, Jay. Go enjoy this one, and we'll chat. Hopefully, we'll chat again here soon, man.
Good job, Jay.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we'll jump over from our third place finisher to our runner up tonight. And say this driver, it's been a while since he's hit victory lane here, Matt, but I think he'll feel all right because he's been talking all season about having to pay some of these teammates back and maybe paying back some of the guys that have helped him get some wins. And I mean, Gabe, you did about the best you could there. You're able to push Kevin to the win, but then you're able to also kind of get yourself up into second. I mean, is that kind of best case scenario for you when it comes all said and done there? Obviously, knowing you're in a great spot in points coming into the playoffs here after next week's race, and then Kevin needing maybe a little bit of help just due to the missed couple of races and not having the drop weeks kind of to his advantage there. Was that just one of those things that worked out, or was that planned, or was it one of those ones where he got in front of you? It's like, well, this works for me.
Yeah, it wasn't really planned. I mean, I figured at some point he'd get in front because I know Seth had to be burning up behind me, and because stuck in the middle like that, these cars were getting really hot tonight for some reason. Um, but at the end of the race there, when he did get in front, I was trying to throttle the car a little bit and save it and not get too hot, and then Seth was like right on me, so that was actually helping me stay off of Kevin a little bit and stay cool. And then I kind of waited till we were coming out of 4. I had plenty of car left, so I knew I could push him and possibly get a P2 out of it, and that's the way it worked out. So I felt like I owed him one there.
Yeah, it was like I said. I mean, yeah, it looked like it worked kind of to perfection on the push there. So then the next part is before Kevin cleared you, though, you had a couple opportunities where you could have gone low in front of Jay Hilliard should you have chosen to, but stayed up top there with the O2 behind you. Was that just because you felt like that lane was your best chance to win the race, or maybe you felt a little bit more comfortable with the O2 as your pusher? I mean, kind of how do you strategize these things when it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go wherever like the lowest lane is, or of course if you have a teammate you want to jump to there, but I mean, how do you balance like where you want to be when you get the opportunities to maybe change lanes from top to middle or middle to bottom and so on and so forth? Like how do you balance kind of that strategy kind of in the heat of the moment with everything? Because I mean, I think that was around 10-15 to go, and we noticed from pretty quick on, it's like he looks pretty happy to be in that middle lane. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. And that was exactly kind of what happened. And it was the same for Kevin as well once he got in front of you. I mean, did you just feel like tonight was the middle lane was the place to be?
It seemed to be, but it just depends who's in the middle with you. And we just kept getting this run out of 4 in the middle. So I said, well, there's no point in going down to the bottom. And I don't think I had a lot of friends down there anyway. So I figured if I stayed in the middle, Seth was doing a great job pushing. And then if Kevin just happened to clear us, well, so be it. And then there'd be 3 of us in line there because Seth wouldn't have been able to go anywhere. So yeah, it just worked out. You try and figure out where your friends are going to be. And I just happened to get lucky. Seth was behind me and Kevin got in front of me, and I think we had a pretty strong line there, and it worked out.
Yeah, you guys definitely were locked on together there at the end, and yeah, you guys definitely made it look like that middle lane was going to be a tough one to beat at the end, and that was exactly pretty much how it turned out. So obviously a great night for you again. I say just racking up the great results, and I say you got one more to go until playoff time. I say at this point probably pretty much comfortably in. I don't see anything changing that one tonight. So I mean, I know obviously you're pretty mellow, low key guy. So I mean, do you change anything between the regular season and playoffs, or is it like, hey, I've been doing and it's been working, so I'm just gonna kind of keep sticking with that, no matter what the circumstances are? I mean, what's your approach right now after next week's race?
Um, it's hard to say. It just depends how the race is going, really. I mean, if I need to be, aggressive and crank it up, then that's what I'll do. But if it's a mellow race, and I'll try and do what I normally do, and just stay out of trouble, save fuel, and try and be there at the end. But like I said, playoff races tend to change things, so sometimes you have to be a little bit more aggressive, and if it means trying to stay up front, then so be it.
All right, man. Well, great job tonight. So we're going to go talk to that guy that you pushed to the win this evening. So go enjoy this one, Gabe, and look forward to seeing you again here in a couple of nights, man.
All right, fellas. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, that leaves us one left to chat with, and that is going to be our race winner in that number 25 of Kevin Freese. Made the right moves at the right time, but Kevin, my biggest question was not the moves for the win, but was the pit stop at the end. You come out with the lead after that caution, and then you come back in, you take tires giving up the lead. I was a little concerned about losing that track position there, but I'll say you being you proved me wrong in pretty much no time flat there. Was it just maybe not having the people around you felt comfortable with, or you said, you know what, actually tires are going to be maybe the difference to maybe make some moves that I want to do to get to the front? I mean, take us through, I guess, first, the kind of the process there at the end, because or also was it just having enough fuel plus if we have a green light checkers? I mean, tell us the strategy there on the pit stop.
Yeah, it was for that final run there. I even thought about taking 4 tires that the first stop instead of on the top off stop, just because watching the entire pack, you could tell that tire wear was a bit of a factor, especially on the backstretch. Just watching the car's movement, so I knew if I wanted to be as aggressive as I wanted to be, I would have to have the 4 tires. And it just allowed me also to make sure that I was guaranteed safe with fuel, because fuel mileage racing is just not my thing, as Brian commented in the chat.
Yeah, I know you were pretty heartbroken that the fuel mileage was pretty much out the window after that first caution. I was like, no, it can't be. So I started doing the math, and I was like, okay, yeah, they're good to go. Nobody's going 33 laps on fuel, so that was out of the question there. And then actually that does kind of bring up the next part is the fuel mileage of that timing. Was there any potential without the yellow of maybe doing basically one stop maybe a little longer than the second stop being a 1 can of fuel? So it seemed like everybody still wound up pitting within about 2 to 3 laps of each other, or I should say 1 to 2 laps of each other, when it really could have been a bigger window when to jump in. Is it just one of those things now where people are kind of maybe a little bit timid to go longer or short pit just at the risk of having anything happen? Or, I mean, how did you see that one tonight? Because it seemed like everybody was pretty much on the same page for fuel mileage tonight.
I think that if you really committed to it, but you would have had to have a lot of other people on the same page, you probably could have made it a 1 can stop, which just prevents that one. It's like a second and a half delay in the pits. It was really close there, especially for that final stop. I was debating whether to go to 10-2 or to just go basically the 8-5, because it was like 7.7 on my 2 lap saving. So it was going to be close, and that would have gained you a good amount of track position. But I was relieved that it didn't come down to that.
Yeah, I was curious about the fuel mileage, because I mean, but you're right. I mean, that second half, I mean, that can make a difference. Obviously, you and Brian and the 07 or Robert DuPont kind of just nailing your pit stops on Thursday night, gap in the field, and you got that kind of that 1.5 to 2 second margin, and then it was never able to be caught from there. So I mean, there are reasons to maybe try to pull that gamble off. Like I said, but you have to make sure you got guys on the same page and nail the pit stops and everything like you need them to as well. So it's been a couple good nights for you here. Say 2 in a row here over here, winning on Thursday as well. So you're trying to kind of take the mantle back from Gabe, because I mean he's just been dominant this season to open it up. I say, is it Kevin Freese time now?
Oh no, I just try to get the consistent finishes. If it ends in a win, that's a plus. But I've just been having pretty good races, and JD gave me that. We had that one really good run up top that got me clear to the middle. But I was just trying to help as much as I could, pinching down, because the cars were just so hot pushing. That's why Gabe did a great job on that final lap, and even on the from like 5 or 6 to go, I was just trying to give him as much of a break through the corners as we could, just trying to pull that inside line back because of how hot it was, and he just did an awesome job, as expected.
Yeah, so you two are definitely a very potent duo to work together, and a dangerous duo at that as well. So great job tonight, Kevin, getting the win, and also, of course, helping your chances out for the playoffs coming up here after next week, because, again, you've missed a couple races, so I say those drop weeks always become a concern, but I say this will probably give you a pretty comfortable padding to maybe feel a little bit more comfortable into that finale. We'll have to obviously wait till all the points get added up and everything, but definitely want to give you the floor here, though, man, for any thanks and shouts for that win this evening.
Yeah, huge thanks to you and Matt for the broadcast, the admin. Hope to see Charles back around here soon. And then a huge shout to the drivers for that final run there. That was some awesome tight racing. It was a lot of fun, a little nerve-wracking at times, just trying to get as close as we could without causing a massive pileup because nobody likes that.
Yet,
But it was just it was a great race, and thanks to everybody who was in it.
I was quite curious before we let you go. I was kind of curious what your thoughts on that four wide situation was. Kind of a little hair raising experience for you, especially at Talladega. Well, it can't be that much, but more of Daytona. It's more like very frightening.
Yeah, those four wide, I love them personally, but as long as you're not the person getting put to the middle on four wide, it's a lot of fun. But everybody did a good job of just holding it together, and then he found David Overstreet found that hole right on top, but we were able to squeeze by. Got a little close when Gabe was going by, but everybody did a great job on that one.
Yeah, it was definitely a tight fit there, but yeah, you guys were able to get it through and say it worked out really well, and it was a really exciting part of the race as well there. And Brian's appreciating your updated profile picture. You look very dapper, sir. So I say appreciate the tuxedo tonight for your profile. You're looking good here, man.
I had to come with the best dressed. Come on.
But no, great job though tonight, Kevin. Go enjoy this one, man. Looking forward to seeing you back again here, hopefully on Thursday, and of course back to finish up the regular season on Sunday night as well. So go enjoy this one, man. So I go debrief with Brian and them, and yeah, we'll chat soon, man. Good job.
All right, you guys have a good night.
See you, Kevin.
See ya.
All right, Matt. That is our race winner, burning it down as we were having a chat with him in that number 25 of Kevin Freeze. I'm gonna say a very dapper Kevin Freeze there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, though, I mean, you talked about going into like you want this to go caution free to the end. You want to see what these guys can do, and I mean they deliver. They did exactly what we were hoping for. Great three wide racing, a little bit of four wide there for a moment. But everybody kind of kept their heads, and I said there's a little incident there come through the travel at the end. Unfortunately, kind of mid backpack of the lead pack that probably affected things a little bit. But as a whole, everybody did a great job. Just the two yellows here tonight for 6 laps out of our 78. And yeah, I mean it's getting down to the nitty gritty here, Matt. I say after next week's race, I say it's time to start talking about playoffs.
Yeah, it's getting really tense. So that gap that Kevin gave up missing a couple of races, it's almost been erased. It's he's done a really good job on racetrack here. His on track performance has been awesome. I probably expect to see that throughout when we get into the playoffs here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be all hands on deck, and I don't really know who the edge is going to go to for the title, because I mean it just really depends on who just doesn't. Honestly, to me, it's who is able to make the best race and not have the bad luck, basically, because it's only 4 races. So I mean, one bad race it could kind of sink you, unfortunately. So. That's what's all going to be coming down to. So I hope you all enjoyed it tonight, Matt. It's been a pleasure always to do these with you. Like I said, we got one more to go next week until we hit those playoffs. So definitely stay tuned for that. And I believe next up, Matt, on GWC TV is going to be on Tuesday at Spa, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys are going to be jumping the lake over there and having some fun and doing some lefts and rights with some big elevation change. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and it's like this is going to be one of those races I kind of wish I was behind the wheel instead of in the booth for that one.
Yeah, there's been a lot of practice sessions been going up. A lot of drivers have been taking the time to put in the time there, and I'm really looking forward to that race as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, definitely if you're interested, stay tuned. Look for that on Green White Checkered TV on Tuesday night. Then, of course, we'll be back on Thursday for the Super Speedway Truck Series. So, until then, hope you all had a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend. But we'll be back again in a couple of nights' time. So, until then, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you all on Tuesday night.